Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're journeying back to the 10th century, to the heart of the Islamic Golden Age, to uncover the story of a physician whose work transcended borders and centuries. His name was Abu Ja'far Ahmad ibn Ibrahim ibn Abi Khalid, but he's known to history as Ibn al-Jazzar. His story isn't just about medicine. It's about dedication, innovation, and a profound commitment to human well-being. Ibn al-Jazzar was born around the year 895 in Kairouan, in modern-day Tunisia. Now, Kairouan at that time wasn't just any city. It was a bustling metropolis, a major center of learning, commerce, and culture in the Fatimid Caliphate. Imagine a city teeming with scholars, merchants, and artisans from across the known world. It was in this vibrant, intellectually charged environment that Ibn al-Jazzar grew up. His family was well respected. Both his father, Ibrahim, and his uncle were physicians. You could say medicine was in his blood. From a young age, he was immersed in a world of medical texts, patient consultations, and discussions about the latest treatments. This early exposure gave him an incredible head start. He received his medical education right there in Kairouan, learning from his own family and other esteemed physicians in the city. He wasn't just taught to memorize. He was taught to observe, to question, and to think critically. This foundation would become the hallmark of his entire career. Unlike many of his contemporaries who sought fame and fortune in the caliph's court, Ibn al-Jazzar chose a different path. He dedicated his life to serving the public. He set up his practice in Kairouan and became known as a compassionate and highly skilled doctor. But here's what truly set him apart. He treated everyone, regardless of their ability to pay. He believed healthcare was a right, not a privilege. His home was always open, and he even had a special room, a sort of waiting area, where he kept drinks and syrups for his patients while they waited. This simple act of hospitality speaks volumes about his character. He wasn't just treating diseases. He was caring for people. His reputation grew not just because of his kindness, but because of his sheer brilliance. Ibn al-Jazzar was a polymath. While his primary focus was medicine, his knowledge spanned a vast array of subjects, including philosophy, history, and geography. This multidisciplinary approach enriched his medical practice, allowing him to see the connections between a person's environment, lifestyle, and health. Now, let's talk about his most famous work, the book that would cement his legacy for 1,000 years, Zad al-Musafir wa Qut al-Hadir, which translates to Provisions for the Traveller and the Nourishment of the Settled. What a beautiful title, right? It was essentially a comprehensive medical encyclopedia, a systematic guide to diseases and their treatments, organized from head to toe. It covered everything from fevers and skin conditions to internal medicine and pharmacology. What made Zad al-Musafir so revolutionary? First, its structure. It was clear, logical, and incredibly user-friendly. He would describe a disease, list its causes and symptoms, and then provide a range of treatments, including dietary advice and herbal remedies. It was designed to be a practical handbook for physicians, even those in remote areas without access to large libraries. Hence, the Provisions for the Traveller. The book was a monumental achievement, drawing upon Greek, Roman, and earlier Islamic medical knowledge, but it was far from a simple compilation. Ibn al-Jazzar added his own extensive clinical observations and experiences. He wasn't afraid to challenge ancient authorities if his own practice showed a different result. This emphasis on empirical evidence, on what you can actually see and verify with your own patients, was a cornerstone of the scientific method, and Ibn al-Jazzar was a master of it. The impact of Zad al-Musafir was immense. It was so highly regarded that it was quickly translated into Latin, Greek, and Hebrew. In Europe, it became known as the Viaticum Peregrinantis. For centuries, from the 11th to the 16th, it was a standard medical textbook in universities like Salerno, Montpellier, and Padua, the most prestigious medical schools of the medieval period. Imagine, students in Italy were learning medicine from a book written by a doctor in Tunisia hundreds of years earlier. It's a powerful testament to the universal nature of knowledge. But Ibn al-Jazzar didn't stop there. He was a prolific writer, authoring over 20 works on various medical topics. He wrote one of the earliest independent books dedicated to pediatrics, titled A Treatise on the Diseases of Children and Their Care. This was groundbreaking. Before him, children's health was often just a small section in general medical texts. Ibn al-Jazzar recognized that children were not just miniature adults. They had unique health needs and required specialized care. He covered everything from a newborn's first bath to teething and common childhood illnesses. He also wrote a book on geriatrics, focusing on the health of the elderly, called The Book of the Elderly's Health. He gave advice on diet, exercise, and maintaining mental acuity in old age. By focusing on these specific life stages, childhood and old age, he essentially pioneered the fields we now call pediatrics and geriatrics. He was centuries ahead of his time. Furthermore, his work in pharmacology was significant. He wrote a book on simple and compound drugs, Kitab al-Adwiya al-Mufrada, which was a detailed pharmacopoeia. He described the properties of various herbs, minerals, and animal-based remedies, and provided precise instructions on how to prepare and administer them. His knowledge of botany and chemistry was essential to this work. Beyond his writing, Ibn al-Jazzar was a legendary teacher. He didn't lecture from a high pedestal. He taught his students, including his own apprentice Ibn al-Bana, at the patient's bedside. He believed that medicine was best learned through direct observation and hands-on practice. This method of clinical teaching is the very foundation of modern medical education. The ward rounds you see in hospitals today? You can trace the origins of that practice back to physicians like Ibn al-Jazzar. Despite his fame, he lived a modest life. He never traveled to the royal courts and, according to his biographers, he never even left his home region of Ifriqiya. He was content to serve his community. He had a personal library that was said to be worth a fortune, filled with thousands of books. At the end of his life, he left this incredible library, his most prized possession, to the great mosque of Kairouan, ensuring that the knowledge he had accumulated would continue to benefit future generations. Ibn al-Jazzar passed away around the year 980, leaving behind a legacy that is nothing short of extraordinary. He was a compassionate physician, a pioneering researcher, a dedicated teacher, and a prolific author. His work bridged cultures and continents, shaping the course of medicine in both the Islamic world and Europe for centuries. He showed us that true greatness lies not in titles or wealth, but in service to others and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. His life is a reminder that the medical principles of observation, evidence, and compassion are truly timeless. So the next time you hear about the marvels of modern medicine, take a moment to remember the giants on whose shoulders we stand, giants like Ibn al-Jazzar of Kairouan, the traveler's guide to health and a true luminary of the Golden Age. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about the hidden figures of history, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious.